Welcome back everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to reverse sear a ribeye steak, caveman style. Now this steak is massive. Just look how thick it is. This one weighs in at around 1.45 kilos. Beautiful marbling in there. Got a nice rib cup or spinalis on there, which is my favorite part. And what we're going to do to get started is just season this up. So quite simple. I'm just going to use some mustard to go down on the meat, which is going to help our rub stick to it. If you don't have any yellow mustard laying around, you can always use some olive oil. But like I said, we're just going to give this a nice light coat, and then we're going to go down with our seasoning. And honestly, a steak this good, you could just do salt and pepper and it'll come up amazing. But we're going to go down with a light coat of my beef bounce rub. Press that in, make sure we get all those edges. Press that in, and then we're just going to mop up any rub that we got on the chopping board. And that is now ready to go, so we'll let that sit for around 10 to 15 minutes while we set our barbecue up. Alright, so we're going to be using our Oklahoma Joe's Blackjack kettle. You want to be using something that you can smoke and sear in. You can always do the smoking stage in one barbecue and then sear in another. Or alternatively, if you've got an oven, you can do the first part of this cook in there. But for now, we've just taken our cooking grate off. We're going to get some firelighters going. Then I'm going to get my charcoal chimney on, and then I'm going to fill that up about halfway with some lump charcoal. So we've got about 10 to 15 minutes before that lump charcoal is going to be ready, and you really want to be using lump charcoal or real wood splits, as when we're searing this steak straight on that charcoal later on, it's not going to leave sandy stuff all over it like it would if you were using briquettes. So make sure you don't use briquettes when you're doing the caveman method. If you're just doing a normal reverse sear, that's fine. But for now, what we're going to do is just wrap some foil around the bone just to help protect it so it doesn't burn. And then I've also got a nice little smoking wood chunk ready. I'm going to be using some bourbon barrel oak, but if you've got another favorite smoking wood for beef, then go ahead and use that. And now our bone's wrapped up in foil. We'll come back once our charcoal's ready. All right, and as you can see, now our charcoal is burning nice and hot. We'll dump that in at the front of our barbecue. Then we'll shut our lid, and we want to make sure our top and bottom vents are wide open, and we'll give our barbecue 5 minutes to preheat. All right, and while our barbecue is preheating, we're going to get our probe in. I'm going to be using the new wireless probe from Inkbird. This case actually charges it as well. And what I love about this one is we obviously get our internal temperature from this end, and then we get our ambient temperature from this end. So I can see exactly what temperature is happening right next to whatever I'm cooking. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this right in the center, in the thickest part of this steak. And I reckon our barbecue is pretty much at temperature, so let's get this steak in. Alright, so we're going to open our lid, and get our beautiful little chunk of bourbon barrel straight on the fire. Then we'll get our cooking grate on, then we'll get our massive steak on the opposite side to where the fire is, and then we'll shut our lid, and we'll let our steak start cooking away. Alright, so for our barbecue temperature, I'm going to look to hold it at around the 300 Fahrenheit or 150 Celsius range. I reckon a steak this size, being around 1.5 kilos, will probably take 60 to 90 minutes to get to our internal temperature, which for this cook, I want to remove this one at around the 52 degrees Celsius or 125 Fahrenheit internal mark. So while our steak's smoking away for the first part of this cook, we're going to make a chimichurri to go with it later on. All right, so I absolutely love chimichurri. It's got to be one of my favorite sauces to go with steak. And what we're going to do is start with around 1/4 cup of finely chopped parsley. And then you want to get that into a jar or bowl. And then I've just got 5 cloves of garlic here. I'm just going to peel. And then you can either finely chop them, or I'm just going to use the garlic crusher to go straight into the jar. Now honestly, with the garlic you can go as little or as much as you want. Now I'm just going to get half a red chilli. Scrape the seeds out, finely chop that. And that can go in our jar as well. And I'm just going to add the juice of half a lemon. A good pinch of hot chili flakes, and a tablespoon of red wine vinegar. And then you want to add the same amount of olive oil in as you did the parsley. So we're going to go 1/4 cup of olive oil, and a pinch of cracked black pepper, and a pinch of salt, and we'll give that a good mix. Now that is done, so you can have a taste, adjust it to your liking, and then we'll put it aside to use later on. Alright, we're about 25 minutes into this cook, and as you can see on the Inkbird app from my phone, we're at 24 Celsius internal, 149 Celsius ambient temperature, so that's the end of the thermometer that's poking out of the steak. And if I wanted to, I could set a target temperature as well. So a very handy thermometer. If you're interested in one, I'll put a link down in the description. But for now, we're just going to let our steak continue to cook away, and we'll come back once we're a bit further into the cook. Alright, and our steak isn't far off from hitting its internal temperature, so we're going to make one of my favourite little sides to go with steak, some prosciutto wrapped asparagus. So Get yourself a nice slice of prosciutto, lay some asparagus down on it on an angle, and then we're just going to tightly roll it up. And these don't take too long to cook, around 10 to 15 minutes at that 300 Fahrenheit or 150 Celsius. So I'll go ahead and get the rest of these done. So again, super simple. Slice of prosciutto, get your asparagus, roll it up on an angle so it sort of goes upwards. And the other half of that lemon we didn't use in the chimichurri, we're going to squeeze over the asparagus later on. And trust me, they're going to be super tasty. All right, now our asparagus is all wrapped up. We're just going to top it off with my steak shooter. Just a light dusting to give it a little extra pop of flavour. And now these are ready to go on shortly. All right, and after about an hour and 15 minutes, we have hit temperature. This is looking amazing. So what I'm going to do now is get it out to rest in some foil. Take our meat probe out now, and then I'm just going to loosely cover that over. And we're going to let that rest for a good 15 to 20 minutes. While that's happening, I want to get just a little bit more charcoal going for this sear. Just going to get another fire lighter going. Get our chimney on top. We'll fill that about a quarter of the way. Might even get this bigger piece straight on top of the existing charcoal we've got left over. And we'll kind of just get the rest over the side the fire lighter's on, and then we'll come back when that's ready. All right, so our new batch of charcoal is pretty much ready. That'll continue to ash over as we let our barbecue preheat. So we're going to get this in, close our lid, and then we're going to cook this prosciutto wrapped asparagus before we sear our steak off. So we'll get that in, give it another few minutes to preheat, and we'll come back to get this asparagus on. All right, now our barbecue's nice and hot again. We'll open it up, get our cooking grate back on, and then we will get this asparagus on the opposite side to the fire. And like I said, this will take around 10 minutes, might be a couple minutes more, might be a couple minutes less. But we basically just want to take it until the prosciutto's crisped up a little bit and the asparagus is softened slightly. So now we'll shut our lid and let them cook away. All right, and a touch over 10 minutes and this asparagus is done. So we're just going to get this out into a tray. Put that aside. And now for the fun part, we're going to take our cooking grate off. I'm just going to even these coals out a touch. And then we're going to get our steak directly on those coals. And we'll give it around 30 to 45 seconds per side. Right, it's been about 30 seconds. Let's have a look. Got a beautiful sear on there. Just going to flip it over and we'll brush those coals off. All right, and after another around 30 seconds or so, I reckon this is done. So we'll shake them coals off, get this over to the cutting board. All right, and because it's already had a nice long rest between the smoke and the sear, we can slice this straight up. Looks absolutely beautiful. I'm just going to take a slice out the middle here. Then we'll get some of that beautiful chimichurri on there that we made earlier and we'll have a taste. So tasty. I love that crust you get from the Caveman sear. So much flavour in that steak, and just to top it off with that chimichurri, so good. Right, with that asparagus, I just like to squeeze a little bit of lemon juice over. That is such a good side. You could honestly just make a meal of those by themselves. Well, there you have it. There's how to reverse sear a ribeye steak, caveman style. That's just one of many cooking methods you can use to cook a steak. That one's obviously very primitive, but it produces some great results. I absolutely love the crust you get from that caveman sear straight on the charcoal. So give it a shot and make sure you try those prosciutto wrapped asparagus as well. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask them in the comments below. But for now, that's the end of the video. So thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.